Eileen's question is, how does one stay grounded and focus when at home in stay mode when other family members are caught up stress of the current situation? I find having my morning start with meditating, pre-paving, appreciating, and doing projects that I love, meeting up with them when they are still reacting from a feeling of stress. I'm going to stop right there, Eileen. You know what it is your feeling of expectation. Eileen, I think you're part of the heart and mind alignment method. And the one thing from the heart and mind alignment course is that thing about expectation. Now, positive expectations work the same way as negative expectations. If you expect your family members to behave that way, and your expectation is a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, your expectation is a 9 or a 10, then you're creating it. If you shift your expectation about them, then it's not necessary for that to happen. And that's how it all works. So what you say to yourself is, you know what? Hopefully they'll be having a better day. And I know how this law of attraction stuff works. And if I don't put it out there, then there's no reason for them to pick up on it. Right? I will only meet them when they're in a better mood. Besides, I want to be that one who gives them inspiration. I want to be that one who teaches them how to be positive. And so I can change my behavior to make that possible, right? It's all about expectation. Expectation is what leads to manifestation. So first there is a desire, then there's an expectation. Listen carefully because this is really, really important. First there is a desire. No, not even there yet. First there is a preference. When you prefer something, a desire is then born. Step 2. So I'm breaking down Abraham's 3-step process. Abraham's 3-step process is: you desire, source answers, then you allow. Step 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to break that down into many smaller steps. So what happens first is that contrast happens. So contrast is step 1. You see something and you compare it with what you really want. And that comparison is giving birth to a preference. And when you decide that you have a preference between this and this, that's when a desire is born. So step 1, contrast. Step 2, desire is born. Step 3 is expectation, which Abraham talks about a lot, but they don't kind of lay it out this way. So listen carefully because this is really going to make a difference to the way you understand law of attraction. Step 3 is expectation. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is my expectation? Actually, you know what? I'm going to stop right there because step 3 is actually which end of the stick do you focus on. So here was contrast. This is what I prefer. This is what I don't prefer. And when you figure those two things out, the next thing that happens, so step 3 is, which one am I deciding to focus on? Am I going to focus on what I don't want, or am I going to focus on what I do want? Then you take this into the next step, and the next step is expectation. So I've decided that I'm going to focus on my family members not understanding law of attraction, and my expectation of that is a 10. Or I've decided that I'm going to focus on meeting my family members when they are in a good mood, and my expectation of that is a 10. So the next step is expectation. I'm going to forget my steps, so somebody keep track of them, okay? So whatever step that is, now you've decided where you're going to focus, and then you've decided what your expectation is. Source takes all of this. Source basically takes your expectation and says, this is what you expect, so I will grant you your wish. Now, if you have decided to focus on what you want with a high expectation, Source is going to give you that. But if you've decided to focus on what you don't want with a high expectation, Source is going to give you that. That's law of attraction. That's Source answering. That is what Abraham calls step 2, and I think I call it step 4 in this series that I'm describing. So step 4 happens. Whatever you have asked for with your vibration, not that you actually want it, but your vibration is asking for it because that's what your expectation is. And so when you expect things that you want, you're high on the emotional scale. When you expect things that you don't want, you're low on the emotional scale. That's how the emotional scale plays a role in what happens. And then the next step, after all of that, so that's all of what we do. Then Source answers. Source just gives us exactly what we expect. That's Source answering. And then we allow it in. Now you can allow Source answers at every level of the emotional scale. Source is answering. But if you want this thing, then it's like when I call my dog and I offer a treat. She has to come to me to get that treat. If she goes somewhere else, she's not going to get the treat. So we ask Source for things that we don't expect. Source holds the treat. But we have to go to Source in order to get that. If we stay where we are, we're not going to receive that. That's the role of expectation. So what creates this, what affects where we focus is where do we put our thoughts? Where do we put our thoughts? And that's where heart and mind alignment comes in, because our heart keeps pulling us towards Source, but our mind pulls us away from Source. And you've got to have both of those going in the same direction in order for things to happen the way you want them to. Or a better way of saying that is, in order for things to happen in a way that is happy, in a way that is satisfying. Because sometimes things that we want, we get other things instead of. So let's say I wanted a red car and my desire was for this car, but Source gave me a black car and it's even better than what I had ever wanted. Am I going to be unhappy and say, I don't want that black car because I really wanted a red one. Where's my red one? No. I'm going to say, oh my God, this is better than what I asked for. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm going to enjoy my black car, right? So this is the process of creation. And expectation is what leads to allowing. So in Abraham's 3-step process, step 3 is allowing. But really, when we pick our expectation, we have picked whether we are allowing or not allowing. And Source just gives us whatever it is that we are allowing. It's as simple as that. So Eileen, thank you for that question.